In a small steel town just outside Pittsburgh, there's a garage that hasn't been properly opened in over 50 years. Not locked shut exactly, and not entirely abandoned either. Just waited on patiently the way certain places quietly wait for someone to finally come home. Because in the autumn of 1969, a 19-year-old kid named Tommy Kowalczyk parked a brand new Camaro inside that garage, pulled a canvas tarp carefully over its hood, and told his parents exactly one thing before he left. "Don't touch it. I'll be back in a year." He never came home. Tommy had worked double shifts at the local steel mill for a full year to afford that car. Every hour of overtime, every missed Friday night out with friends, every single dollar of it went into a metallic blue pony car with clean white racing stripes running down the hood. He picked it up from the dealership on a Tuesday afternoon in the spring of 1969. And for the 8 months that followed, that car was genuinely his entire world. Sunday afternoon drives out along Route 30, through the rolling Pennsylvania countryside he'd known his whole life, but somehow never really seen properly, until he was seeing it through that particular windshield. Saturday nights at the local drive-in, where he'd park in almost exactly the same spot every single week. A girl named Linda, who worked the counter at the diner downtown, who he brought milkshakes to instead of ever quite working up the nerve to properly ask her out. By every account from the people who actually knew him that year, it was, without much competition, the best summer of Tommy Kowalczyk's short life. The car, people who knew him would later say, seemed to change something in how he carried himself that year. A certain steadiness that hadn't quite been there before. The kind young men sometimes only find behind the wheel of something they worked honestly hard to earn. His mother would say many decades afterward that she'd never seen him happier than he was that particular summer. Windows down, radio up, driving absolutely nowhere in particular. Then, that same autumn, the letter arrived. Tommy was drafted, and exactly 3 weeks before he was scheduled to ship out for Vietnam, he did something that made very little obvious sense to his parents at the time. He parked the Camaro carefully in their garage, pulled a heavy canvas tarp over the entire car, and made both of them promise, quite seriously, not to touch it, not to sell it under any circumstances, not even to drive it casually around the block while he was away. "I'll be back in a year," he told his mother, standing in that garage doorway. "Don't touch it till I'm home." She promised him she wouldn't. She had absolutely no idea in that moment exactly how long she'd actually be keeping that particular promise. Tommy was killed in action in the spring of 1970, just 4 months after he'd shipped out, in a conflict that by then felt, to most people back home, both endless and increasingly senseless. His parents never touched that car again afterward, not as any kind of grand, deliberate gesture, but simply because neither one of them could quite bring themselves to be the person who finally moved it. His mother renewed the vehicle's registration faithfully by mail, every single year without fail, right up until 1994, the year she herself passed away. His father followed her 5 years later in 1999. Neither one of them, in nearly 3 full decades of living in that same house, ever once lifted that canvas tarp to look underneath it again. The house itself sat empty for a number of years afterward, tied up in fairly complicated family estate matters, until Tommy's niece Sarah finally inherited the property sometime in the early 2020s. She'd heard the family stories her entire life. Her uncle's blue Camaro, the milkshakes at the diner, the promise he'd made his mother before he left. But like literally everyone else in the family, she'd simply always assumed the car itself had been quietly sold off decades earlier. When she finally worked up the courage to open that garage door herself, the tarp was still there, sitting exactly as her late grandmother had always described it. Underneath it, the car itself, completely untouched by time in every way that mattered. The keys were still in the ignition, and resting on the passenger seat, she found a paper road map of California, folded carefully to a specific route her uncle had circled in pencil decades earlier. The exact trip, it turned out, that he'd been planning to finally take once he made it home from the war. Sarah didn't restore that car inside the garage where she found it. Instead, she had it carefully loaded onto a flatbed trailer and driven the entire way out to the Pacific coast, completing, in her own way, the very drive her uncle never got the chance to make himself. And there, standing at the edge of the ocean with the Camaro finally in front of her, she turned the key herself for the very first time in 55 years. It caught. Rust and Legacy tells the human stories hiding behind forgotten machines, the ones left waiting in barns and garages and fields nobody visits anymore. If an old car sitting somewhere has ever made you wonder about the story behind it, this channel exists entirely for you. New episodes every single week.